How Arnold Schwarzenegger became a multi-millionaire before acting. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Welcome, Aluxers. Thanks for joining us today for some interesting information and a generous dose of inspiration about none other than the great Arnold Schwarzenegger. Today we're looking at how a bodybuilder from Austria managed to become a multi-millionaire before being a successful actor, then one of the biggest names in Hollywood, then governor, in a country that didn't welcome him, where everybody told him he won't make it. But first, let's look at the big picture. Who is Arnold Schwarzenegger? The mention of this name summons visions of bodybuilding competitions and 80s and 90s action flicks, but there's a lot more to this well-known celebrity. Schwarzenegger has a net worth of over $400 million, starred in over 50 movies, including Kindergarten Cop, Twins, Conan the Barbarian, Predator, and the incredibly popular Terminator franchise. He also served as the Republican governor of California from November 2003 to January 2011, where he reached his term limit. This earned him the nickname the Governator. In addition to these well-known roles, Schwarzenegger has been incredibly successful in business and his investments. He also has 5 children and went through a very public divorce from his wife of 25 years, Maria Shriver, in 2011. With all that, his name, his image, his brand is well known all around the world, with many considering him the ultimate success story. But how did it all start? Beginnings. Some might say a rags to riches story is a bit cliché, but Arnold's story is definitely unique. It begins in Thal, Austria, where he was born July 30th, 1947, to Aurelia and Gustav Schwarzenegger. Although he didn't have a flushing toilet or running water or other common amenities, he did not see his family as poor because the other families he knew all lived the same way. He did not have a good relationship with his father, who suspected that Arnold was not his biological son. Schwarzenegger said that the Austrian way was for parents to force their children to conform, but he considered himself a rebel, and his will could not be broken. Arnold dedicated himself to bodybuilding as a teenager, with the ultimate goal of winning Mr. Universe, the biggest bodybuilding contest known to man. He saw this as his opportunity to make it to America, where he dreamed of getting rich and becoming famous. He would achieve this goal in 1967, when he was only 20 years old, making him the youngest Mr. Universe of all time. He won that title 4 additional times, and later also claimed 7 Mr. Olympia titles. He realized his dream of moving to America in 1968, when he was 21 and barely spoke any English. He continued his bodybuilding training in Los Angeles, California, with the hopes that someday he might make it as an actor. How does a kid who barely speaks the language, who has a strong accent and almost no connections in showbiz, find that inner drive? The vision. Schwarzenegger often talks about the importance of having a vision and a purpose. He has stated that every time he faced a setback or was told he would not be able to achieve his dreams, he told himself it was only temporary. He was determined to be somebody. Arnold had a series of visions as follows. First things first, become a championship bodybuilder. Then, be a millionaire. Then be the star in a box office hit, and later on be elected as the governor of California. For each goal, he clearly visualized what the end result would be and then got to work. He sees struggles and challenges as exciting because they bring you a step closer to making your vision a reality. He never wanted to compete. He was there to win and make his dreams come true. And as you would expect, it wasn't easy. The struggle. When Arnold got to America, he knew there was very little money to be made in bodybuilding. He also did not want to be like most other actors, who were so desperate for money they would take any role. Nobody was open to hiring him because he was too big, had a funny name and accent, and no acting experience. He was determined not to rely on acting for money, so he could pursue only those projects that he truly was passionate about. This was the differentiating choice he's made that set him apart from everyone else. His first American business venture was a bricklaying business that he started with fellow bodybuilder Franco Columbu. Back then, everything European was sought after by the rich because they believed it to be of superior quality, so they leveraged that perception. Soon after they started the business, in 1971, the San Fernando earthquake hit and business was booming. With an ear open to new opportunities, he began networking. An acquaintance told them there were major plans to develop an international airport and other businesses in Antelope Valley in Los Angeles County. Speculating this as a major money-making opportunity, Arnold and Franco took their profits from the bricklaying business and invested it in buying plots of desert land in the valley. They figured the land would be in high demand and would yield an incredible profit when the developers showed up, but they never did. It turned out they had spent all their money on literal grains of sand, so it was back to the grindstone. Arnold has said the difference between winners and losers is that after failing, losers stay down, but winners always get back up. That was his attitude even at the age of 24. Undaunted by his failure, Arnold became determined to succeed in real estate and went back to the grind. The win. Arnold made it his goal to buy an income-producing property. He saw cash flow as his way to financial freedom. He even prioritized this over buying a home for himself to live in. He saved just about every penny he earned from bricklaying and bodybuilding competitions until he had $10,000 to invest in a six-plex apartment building. This might not sound like a lot of money to you, but back then it was enough for a down payment. He lived in one apartment and rented out the other 5. This was just the first domino in what would become a multi-million-dollar real estate empire. 3 years after buying his first building, he sold it and bought one with twice as many apartments. Then he upgraded to a building with 36 apartments. With a little guidance from real estate magnate Albert Ehringer, Arnold was able to consistently sell his properties for major profits and trade up to bigger and better investments. He kept buying and selling properties, and soon his fortune was in the millions. Arnold has called the 70s the magic decade for investing in real estate because inflation was high and it was a seller's market. Before long, Schwarzenegger had leveraged his investments to secure a number of apartments and office buildings in prime locations like Main Street in Santa Monica. He was in a position where he could buy a $500,000 building with a down payment of about $100,000, and the following year could sell it for a profit of $200,000 beyond his initial investment. The build-up. With the first 2 goals on his list checked off, it was time for him to go after the third one, becoming an international movie star. While every other actor was struggling to survive, waiting tables or taking minor gigs, he was already doing incredibly well from real estate, allowing him to pass on minuscule projects without the stress that others had to deal with. He spent most of his time looking for the perfect opportunity for him to shine. The next thing you know, this up-and-coming director, James Cameron, was looking to make a movie about a robot from the future. They needed someone who looked like nothing they'd seen before, who spoke differently, and could pull off this movie role. Later on, Cameron said there wasn't anybody else who could have played the Terminator. Arnold took the money he made from acting and invested it wisely. Today, his real estate portfolio alone is valued at approximately $300 million. He leveraged his work ethic, his fame, and fortune to later become the governor of California. While multiple times he mentioned he might run for president of the United States, this may not be legally possible since he's not a US-born citizen, despite living here for over 40 years. The lesson. Arnold's story teaches us how to leverage a competitive advantage to get one foot through the door. Then, through hard work, daily grind, and a mind for business to secure that position. Once your essentials are being taken care of, you are free to pursue your passions. Even with everything and everybody against you, while everyone is saying you can't make it, if you maintain focus and can get yourself ready for when opportunity presents itself, you yourself could achieve your goals. The man has a fascinating life and even put it all in a book he published called Total Recall: My Unbelievably True Life Story. It's filled with everything he's been through and gives a valuable insight into his willpower and decision-making process. We know the book can be fairly expensive at $21. So, if you go to Alux.com/freebook and sign up, you can get the audiobook version for free, thanks to our partnership with Audible. The quote. While researching his story, we've come across this incredible quote we'd like to share with you that goes like this. For me, life is about continuously being hungry. The meaning of life is not simply to exist, but to move ahead, to go up, to achieve, to conquer. And that is so important to remember, Aluxers, that we cannot get stuck in a cycle of merely existing from day to day, but need to have the vision to make our lives meaningful. Question. Arnold has said that he does not believe in having a plan B because it takes your focus away from plan A. Do you believe in this philosophy, or do you think it's best to always have a backup plan? Let us know what you think in the comments. And as a thank you for watching with us until the end, we wanted to share with you an interesting fact we discovered in our research. Did you know that Arnold Schwarzenegger has never auditioned for an acting role? Even the biggest name movie stars have stories from back in the day when they crashed and burned at auditions. But not Arnold. He got cast based on directors seeing interviews and sitting down with the man himself. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. Thank you for being an Aluxer, and we'll see you back tomorrow.